Welcome, everybody, at this session about mergers and acquisition. And just a quick disclaimer before I start my story. I'm not an expert, and I don't want to claim that I'm an expert either. I'm just a guy from the Netherlands running a small co-working chain, and we acquired one location. So I'm here at your service to share our lessons. So probably the best way to get this going and to make this successful is if you guys have some interesting questions along the way. We'll have two stories of chains that recently acquired a competitor and the lessons we can share about that. But to start off with, is there anybody here in the room that has acquired a competitor or a location yet? Can you raise your hands? One hand. Is there anyone planning to buy a competitor somewhere soon? Three hands. Is there anyone thinking about selling his or her location or locations? Multiple. Nice, 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 nice. So I assume and I think sooner or later we all have to deal with this topic. And that's why I found it interesting last year, or actually 2 years ago. I thought let's just hop into it, dive into it, and see if we can find somebody or someone that is willing to sell his or her location. So that's what I can share my learnings about. So this is my company in one slide. These are our current locations, and we have one more, but it's not on the slide. This is the one we acquired last year. StartDock is a brand in the Netherlands. We're located in Amsterdam and in Rotterdam. We currently have 6 locations and more than 800 companies registered, 1,500 members on average. We only have classical monumental buildings, not for a very good reason, but just because we like these kind of buildings. And we put a really young group of entrepreneurs in these buildings, and this gives a very good vibe in the Netherlands, in our opinion. That's about our concept. This is the concept we acquired last year. So we actually acquired this concept in January 2023. Conversation started Q3 2022. And I knew the owner of this concept for 8 years. So we have been doing this for 8 years now. So we started in 2016. And I knew the owner of this concept. We had mutual respect for each other's businesses. He was also trying to scale up his co-working, but he didn't really succeed because he also had a side business. Won't tell too much details about it, but this is the location. And as the website says, this is the previous website of the concept. It was called Wheelhouse. And as the website says, it's a curated workspace. This is the first thing that will come back later in my story. StartDock is not necessarily curated. We make sure to have cool, inspiring, innovative entrepreneurs on our locations, but we don't curate them on a specific sector. So we are not impact only or tech only. Everybody's welcome within StartDock's premises, which was not the case in Wheelhouse, because it was curated on creative sector when we acquired them. When we acquired them, the yellow line is what my company looked like. So we used to have 4 locations before. So Simoes is as you saw on the previous slide, we add the 5th location of our own concept in January next year. So we were 4 locations, 23 colleagues, 719 companies, which will all make sense to you. 2.4 million revenue before the acquisition, and only 60K profit before the acquisition. And I think the most interesting part of this slide is not necessarily these numbers, but more the latter. So the 350K profit, this was the biggest lesson that we learned from acquiring a competitor is usually when you start your own location, you start with an empty building. So the beginning is red numbers. You lose money in the very beginning when you start your own location, which affects your general profit as a concern. When you acquire a location and the location runs good, so the location that we acquired was profitable when we acquired it, so immediately you add another location to your concept, which boosts your profitability. That was the thing that we have learned. So these are the key learnings that we had from acquiring this competitor. The investment. Before this session, somebody asked me, like, are you going to share anything about valuation? How did you value the competitor? We didn't actually value it. We just went into a conversation with him and we asked, okay, you want to sell? What do you think it's worth? And he said, well, I think it's this. And he mentioned 400K. And we said, well, how can you support that? How can you say 400K? What gives you the idea that it's worth 400K? Well, he explained something and we said, probably not. When we acquired this location, there was a rental contract with his landlord for only 1 year left. That's how we acquired this location. Our own buildings have at least a lease of 5 years, and most of them have 10 years lease. So you can deduct your investments. So when we acquired this competitor, I said to the owner, like, okay, but if there's only 1 year of lease, then 400K is quite a lot of money. That was not the net profit that came out of the location. So I said, if we were to acquire it, and there's only 1 year of lease contract, then that's the maximum investment that I would want to take in acquiring this location. Only the net profit of the next year, what you have in your Excel sheet, and that was 90K. So he said, well, that's not enough because it's worth 400K. And I said, yeah, but the net profit for next year is 90K, and I can only calculate with his 1 year contract. Which then he mentioned to me, the rental contract has already been lengthened for 8 years in a row by 1 year. So he had been doing this for 8 years in a row with constantly 1 year of lengthening his contract. So the broker will have made a lot of money on that. He took the risk year. When we acquired this location, we were thinking about, okay, probably we should contact the landlord and ask him, can we lengthen the contract? But the guy that used to own this building, he said, well, probably not do that. I will stay in touch with the landlord and I will make sure to lengthen the contract. So the deal that we made with this previous owner is, okay, we will pay you 90K, which is the net profit for next year. And if you lengthen this contract, then you will have a kicker in it. So we will pay you more, not the 400K, but somewhere in between. We agreed on that deal, but there's a lesson we have learned about that, and I'll come back later to that. As I mentioned, the startup losses, when you acquire a location, and it is profitable, you don't have any startup losses. Only thing is your investment. So we invested it, but you don't have any losses in the beginning. Again, the contract length, for us it was a year. And for us this was a big learning game, because we acquired it January of this year, and the landlord decided that the rent had to be doubled this year, and the contract could only be for 1 year. So we were screwed. We have to close this location again December this year. So for us, this adventure is going to be ending soon. But it only costed us the net profit of this year, so it was learning money in that sense. We invested a lot of time and a lot of effort in this. The money that we invested in it, we more or less will get it back from the net profit from this year. But the biggest lesson for us was this contract length is really a thing. If you acquire a competitor, make sure there's a lease for at least 5 years, so you know the investment will last for the next couple of years. That was the biggest lesson that I've learned from it. Then some lessons about the hard versus the soft integration. My co-founder is a technical guy. He can program, he knows all about software. So the hard integration for us was easy, but you need these skills. You need to be able to integrate the competitor in your systems and in your way of working. I did the soft integration, and because this was a curated workspace for only creative people, I tried to integrate it into our concept, the StartDock concept. But this was quite a hard battle because they were used to their creative ecosystem and only people on sneakers. And well, we had that in our locations as well, but it was still hard to get those two cultures integrated. You really need to have either experience or knowledge, or do it the hard way and just say, okay, your brand goes out, my brand goes in. That's how we're going to work from now. Also, that was a lesson for us to learn. Next time we'll do a hard integration on the soft part. Your brand goes out, our brand goes in. That's also a lesson we learned. That's also the same with the branding. We kept the Wheelhouse brand, especially since we were not sure whether the contract would be lengthened after a year. We decided to keep the Wheelhouse brand and decide after a year if the contract would be lengthened with another year, or probably 5 years. Are we going to keep the brand or not? And now we're going to close the location, so we don't have to make any decisions anymore. This is my final conclusion. I think it's still a great way to scale. I would definitely do it again, but then with the lessons that we have learned, and then do it better. So that's my story for now. Any questions for now, or first we'll start with Joao? Yeah, another presentation? Joao, come to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Joao Simoes. I'm the CEO of Idea Spaces. Basically, our main claim is experience co-work as never before. So we have been operating since 2014. We position ourselves as a community disguised of a co-working space network, okay? So currently we operate 4 locations in Lisbon. We have approximately 3,000 members, 300 companies, 5 million in revenue, and we run approximately 80 events per year. So currently, as you see it, this is the 4 locations that we operate. They are very different from itself. And this is something that we're really proud. So of course, there's also the big question regarding location. So that's something that's always in mind when we choose portfolio. So out of the blue, and we were not expecting, we were challenged by a friend and a competitor to buy his business. Okay, so it's Fernando Mendes. I don't know if you guys know. So it's he started co-working in Lisbon in 2010. He opened now in 2018 in the eastern part of Lisbon, which is definitely an area that we would never look at. Okay, so it's no public transportation yet, so it's completely out of the central. 80 members, 10 companies, was losing cash like hell. So the occupancy was terrible also, and there was no process and tools really running the business. So it's basically Excel and Google Docs. So it's quite the opposite of our mode of operations. So I think everything starts with the why. Okay, why we want to acquire a business. Okay, so in this acquisition that we made, it was, I have to be fully honest, we made the decision, an emotional decision. So respect by the legacy of the founder, and we fell in love with the building itself. Okay, so these are the main. So, but you can choose by the heart, but then don't forget to go to the numbers, right? So and drill down. So what we basically did was to identify the business potential. So we ignored what was the current revenue, what was the strategy in terms of floor plan design. So we completely ignored that, and we redesigned everything still on the due diligence phase, okay? Then the no. So basically, it's mandatory that we bring the full team on board on day one. So normally, when we go to acquisitions, normally we call the financial guys, we call the management team, but then we forget to include the techie guys, the architects, and etc. And all those inputs are quite key to define if this is a go or no-go decision on that sense. So this was something that we have in mind. Then also, the legal, accounting, or finance, as you do. In Portugal, you can have different methods of acquiring a business. So, and in our decision was basically, okay, are we keeping a separate legal entity? Are we acquiring the business and embedding on our existing legal organization? Have this in mind. Discuss with your lawyers, discuss with your finance team and the accounting team. See what's best work for you. In our case, to be fully transparent for you, I loved the losses that he was making. So basically, that's cash in our hands. Okay, so we got So you have all losses. This is going to my balance sheet at the end of the year, and I'm going to reduce my tax to pay this year. So this could be also a strategy when you buy a business. So it's not if it's profitable or not. Then engage. That's a very different community that it's on that location. So basically, they were positioning themselves for creative industries, for sustainability markets, and one of the things that we did, let's call it all hands. So we basically bought some food. We engaged with them and said, okay, guys, that's a non-issue for you. We are taking over the operations. We want to listen what you have to say to us and to make sure that it's a smooth transition from the current operator to us. Then another key lessons learned, engage the future community manager, if not already as part of the local team, on day one. So this is a key learning that if we engage the community manager on day one, there's an immediate link between the members, the existing members, and the one that is going to be the interface on the future. So this is also a key takeaway that we can do. Also, engage the service partners. This is something normally we forget. Okay, so of course they had their service partners for cleaning, IT, and etc. On day one, we kept the same providers, but we need to have a strategy to say when's going to be the cutoff to transfer those services to our standard providers. So, and they need to engage immediately to know in time what they're going to need to take over. Okay. Then transition, this is key. We need to secure that for members it's as smooth as possible. For them, we are not there. We are running the business as a day-to-day, but we are doing a lot of things in the background. Okay. Then blended transformations also to be executed, and clearly define the timelines and the goals of the transition. So we need to understand what's going to happen and when to secure the proper transition to the new operation model. Then transformation. So Thom already refers to engage the teams that require technical skills. Also, a key lesson learned that we took over is even if you have a very large transformation plan, do it by sprints. Don't do it in one shot. Okay, so understand and flag the dependencies between the different sprints. Each one of them needs to deliver on their time, but don't do it in one shot. For example, the access control systems that they use on that location was also from our main provider, which is Salto, but with a different technology. Okay, so prior to just change the technology on the access control, we would need to take control of the network, how the network is really implemented. So without that, we cannot do anything on the access control. So clearly identify what are the long run that you need to execute, and then do it by sprints and make it smoothly. And then also, again, the involvement of the community manager, because there will be complaints. From the moment that you start touching what they are used to, they're going to start complaining. So this will happen. Then, of course, in our case, we decided to keep both brands. We did a rebranding of the existing brand, but we align all the KPIs, all the technologies, all the process across the entire locations, across the both brands. Also, a key learning that we take. Be humble enough to collect constant feedback from the members and from the team. normally, and this is the major learning that I've been having since 2014, engage with your team. Allow them to speak themselves. And this can goes from the cleaning lady up to the marketing, the IT, and etc. Engage them, create a real brainstorming in that focus. And then, as operator, we are constantly looking, okay, what's my revenue? What's my occupancy rate? What's the profitability, etc. So, of course, at the end of the day, that's what counts, okay? But if we focus on making our people happy and deliver it, and our members happy, you will get those KPIs. So we need to do some reverse approach. So make your team members happy and fully committed with the company mission, and then the members happy, and the rest will come. Okay. It's just now a quick wrap of our conversation. Basically, this is the repositioning of the now. So now stands for no office work. Okay, it was the initial brand. Now is House of Explorers. So what we want, no matter how different you are, I don't care what market you are, this is your house. Okay, either you're a digital nomad or you're just a company that works in different industries. So basically, advice, so it's dream big with your heart, but manage with your brain. So make a strong link between your brain and your heart, but at the end of the day, that's what can't keep growing without losing the essence of a community. See, this is very easy for us to start with the essence of community and co-working and spirit of cooperation, collaboration, etc. When you start growing, you start losing that touch, and it's just numbers, right? So don't lose that, because that's what makes difference from the traditional office centers, service centers, and etc. So a plan executed better with the right team on board, do a proper legal and accounting. This is key. Okay, so make a proper assessment, plan the future, but execute it now in sprints, and keep the business passion. So to be fully honest, we have been approached several times already to be acquired by competitors or even for investment funds. But unfortunately or fortunately, we still have the passion of the business and we want to keep it, okay? But always remember, co-working, it's not about desks and chairs, okay? So if you go and there's the vibe, said, okay, I'm gonna put an office plan, desks and chairs, Wi-Fi and etc. Co-working is way more than this, okay? If you want to keep in the market. Co-working is about people needs. So try to understand what you want and what they want and deliver it. It's about their aspirations, because their aspirations, that's what's going to take us also to the future, okay? We have companies that started with us with 5 to 6 members. Currently, they are 100, and they are still with us, okay? So try to understand what drives them. It's about people emotion, okay? So sometimes we are their own therapists on the day-to-day, right? So, and this is important also to understand the support they need. So at the end of the day, it's all about people, right? So we are on people business. Say that everyone says that now we are on hospitality business. I partially agree, but this is a people business, because that's what drives them to go to your space every day. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, time for questions. We have only 2. How many people?
Thank you. My name is Davide. Question for Thom. Thom, thank you for sharing your insights and for being so transparent. Always useful to know from the community's mistakes, because that's where we learn the most. I guess this is a question for both of you. So when you want to evaluate another business, one sec, because I wrote a few points. How do you define the quality of the business? If you could go over that again. So would it be the quality of the members? What's the quality of the members? Is it the recurring contract? And, you know, or is it based on the, I think you touched upon the location. Is it based on the social media following? The size of the market? For example, if it's only artists, you know, how big is the artist market? So in essence is, how do you define the quality of the business to purchase? For example, sorry, to carry on, you just mentioned at the end of the presentation, we are in the people business. We are almost like therapists, but how do you measure that in a business that you're about to buy? There is no metric for that. It's always about the numbers. But, you know, the community is not a tangible thing.
No, good question, I think. And I'm not sure if I can answer the question fully, because we only did one acquisition and we didn't completely succeed in that. But I think for us, the value was in the contracts with the tenants. And we could see the lifetime value of these tenants. We did a proper due diligence with a good corporate finance club. So we knew what the value of the contracts was that we acquired. So that's one. I think also you have to look at the fit out of the co-working space that you acquired. That's also value. The entire fit out of the co-working space that we acquired was already deducted. So that was also quite a mistake in our acquisition, especially since we have to dismantle the entire co-working space right now. It's probably 15,000 euros of value left there. It's nothing left over. And in our own locations, you have a feeling or a sense whether there's a community feeling or not. We think that is important. There are also co-working spaces who say, well, it's also important, but less important. For us, with the most important parts of the business that we do. And I knew this place, I knew the founder, I knew some of the members, and I knew this was right. The community feeling that was right. So I knew that these members would stick if we were to acquire them. So I think those three are the quality and the value for us.
So basically, the rational decision for us on the valuation of that specific business was the losses. Okay, so the rationale. So what we knew that they have running contracts. But the way that they structure their contracts with the existing companies, they had so many flaws that we knew that there was a huge risk that they would cut the contracts in the middle of this process. So this was not taken into account on the evaluation. So basically on the rational evaluation, what we did, okay, what are the losses? What are the potential that we can have after the transformation? And this was a bundle in one shot, and this was the rational decision on that. And then, of course, there's the emotional decision also that also taken to apart. So the first reaction was emotional. Then we made a rational decision based on the reverse. Normally we see the profits, but in this case was the losses, which was convenient for us as one single company.
Would you say that recurring contract is a key metric for purchasing a business? So for example, if 80% of the customers have renewed a contract in the last year, would you say that's a good metric for buying a business?
Depends how the contracts are structured. What I've seen in many operators, the contracts have too many flaws, which is quite easy for members or companies to leave you, even if you put penalties, if you want to anticipate, etc. But if you are not legally fully protected, is worth zero, right? So, of course, you can take that into account, but my word of advice is spend a few €100 in a good lawyer and try to anticipate what are the operational scenarios that you have during your operations and put it in the contract. Even if you can have more flexibility and do it a case-by-case approach when the company's bankrupt or for any reason they want to leave, but at least legally bound by the contract.
Next question.
I have a question for both. First for Thom. You are closing this location now. How many of the people in the building which you are closing are moving to your other locations? Because if that's happening, then it was a great marketing tool to fill your other centers. And a question for you, did you pay anything for a losing company which was losing money? And now you're 1 year later, is it profitable now?
Nice questions. 70% of the revenue was transferred now to other locations. So you can see it as marketing spend, both from physical tenants as well as virtual tenants. That was the question, right?
We did pay. We have paid for basically for the brand, for the running business, and for the losses. So again, our business case was, okay, you are making a loss of 300K if I pay 100K, which was not the case. So I prefer not to reveal the exact number, but basically what I have assumed it was if the business case was positive or negative, right? So we assume, okay, we are buying the brand, we are buying the running operations. We have also put it into the business case. What was the plan capex needed to uplift the current operations, and our goal was to reach on day one at zero loss. So this was the balance that we've made on that specific business. Okay. We are still on the transformation phase. So currently we acquired the business in June. So basically, since we had the members on the building itself, we were very limited on the depth of the interventions that we could do it on the building. So what we have done now, we moved part of the members to other locations while we are doing the more in-depth interventions. That includes flooring, painting, and etc. So we are planning to start regular operations in January, end of January 2024.
I have also two questions. One for Thom. Now that you have all the information, but have you done the same if you had to decide now, like all the effort you've put, no, versus the impact it has had? And for Joao, did you have any like team losses, like from the now team, or you managed to keep all the team? And also, why did you decide to keep like the brand instead of merging the brands?
I understood the second question, not the first. If you could repeat.
Sorry, the first one, if you managed to keep all the team from now.
We did.
After this transition.
We did. So we kept all the team. So it was a team of two people, basically that was managing the space. So we did the onboarding of the now existing team into our idea team. So with the same process, the same conditions, and etc. So they enter in fully aligned in our payroll, and they are with us. So, but even we decided to put a community manager from the existing idea community to now. So, and then we can clearly secure the transition for both. And the second question was why two brands, right? Basically, we see ourselves, so idea, 70% of the idea community is tech, then the rest is professional services. Okay, so you have lawyers, accountants, industry products, so it's a very diverse community. And these brands now is more focused on the creative industries and on the sustainability projects. And that's why we decided to keep both brands, targeting different personas or different locations. So even if I wouldn't say that they provide exactly the same service levels from each brand, but they are very close, but they are targeting different personas.
Thank you. Tom, the question was like, now that you have all the information, but have you done the same if you had to decide now? So all the effort that you invested in this opportunity, no, that now you're closing in December, do you think has been worth it?
Well, you could see it as learning money. So either you succeed or you learn. We've learned a lot last year. So yes, I would definitely do it again. But now with the lessons that we have learned also now from Joao, I think next time we will do better anyway. And yeah, sometimes you have to fall hard on your face and then do it differently in the next time. So yeah, I'll definitely do it again.
Does anyone have a question?
Thank you for your talk. So I'd like to ask about how is the community going well? How is the measurement of community going well or not? As you said, one of the measurement point is LTV. I'd like to ask about more specifically.
Yeah, so the way we measure the community feeling is either by gut feeling, walking into the office, and do you feel there's vibrancy, or do you feel there's emptiness, more or less like office space from 30 years ago? That's, to me, the most important. You feel it or you don't feel it. There's culture, there's no culture. The second, we send out a survey every half year, also to the location we acquired, to those members. Like, how comfortable do you feel at the place where you are? So the NPS score, it is a measurement, but can you really capture community feeling in an NPS? Well, probably. It is an important number for us. We look at it seriously every half year, but there's more than numbers in this sector, I feel.
Yeah, it's the same. So apart from the surveys, I think it's also our experienced team or our community management team has an important role on the day-to-day. Is also to understand how our members are. If there's a lot of constraints on daily and complaints on the day-to-day, then you know that something is not going well, right? Or if you are constantly engaging or promoting events and there's a low attendances, you know that there's no real attraction from the members. So I think more than gut feeling, which is also important, is also you have some very tangible observations that you can understand how the community is working or not.
Great, thank you.
More questions? Okay. So now we have 30 minutes coffee break and then the last session. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing it. It's been